Hey guys, my name is Haley, and today I'm going to be filming my October wrap-up. I read, I believe, 9 novels and 6 graphic novels, so let's get started. This might be a long one. So the first book that I finished this month was The Last Star by Rick Yancey. I buddy read this with Oshina from Oshina Gotta Read 'Em All. We didn't really like it. It was okay. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was kind of a weird wrap-up. It was very confusing, especially towards the end. I'm still not even completely sure on some of the details. Yeah, not my favorite in this series. I think I am gonna keep the trilogy just because I really loved The Fifth Wave, even though I didn't really like the second book. But yeah. Next up, I read Flesh and Bone, which is the 3rd book in the Rotten Ruin series that I've been reading. I didn't really like this one. I think I gave it like quite a bit of a lower rating than the first 2. I think I gave it 3-ish stars. Hopefully the last 2 books are a little bit better. I'm hopeful because I really like the world that this is set in, and I really like our main character. I just don't like the romance. Next up, I reread Locke and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. I loved it just as much the second time around, and I'm very excited to get into the rest of the series. I do still need to buy them, but when you see my book haul, you'll see why I haven't bought them yet, because I bought so many things and I need to stop. But I would highly recommend this series. It's very good. It's very gory and very, like, vulgar in certain parts, so if you don't like that, I wouldn't recommend this, but I think the concept of the Key House is the most interesting part of it. And then I read The Darkest Corners by Cara. This was okay. I'm starting to wonder if I don't like regular psychological thriller books because, or maybe I'm just not reading the right ones, because I really didn't like this that much. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was alright. I didn't particularly care for any of the characters that much. It was very forgettable. Like, I read this maybe 2 weeks ago and I already can't really remember what happened. I remember the ending being very good. Like, it was enough for me to bump it up to 3 stars because I think I was sitting at a 2 for most of the book. Next up, I read Nightmare Hour by R.L. Stine. This is a book of short stories that are, like, supposed to be spooky and Halloween-esque. There were some that I liked. There were, like, I think 2 or 3 that I really liked. The rest of them were kind of duds. I liked I'm Not Martin, Afraid of Clowns, and I believe The Ghostly Stare. I did really like the illustrations in this because I didn't know there were illustrations going into it, so that was really exciting, and I do really like the cover. But yeah, it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. Then I picked up Revival. I really liked this. I liked the concept of, like, different kind of zombies. Like, in this world, or really this town, I don't know about the rest of the world yet because this is just the first volume, people start dying or they're killed and they automatically come back to life. So basically people just aren't dying. And at first people are like, alright, well, this is weird, but it's not causing a huge problem. But then eventually they realize that a lot of the dead people start to go crazy and aren't really themselves. And I'm wondering if they're just possessed by something or if they're just a certain kind of zombie. I don't know. But it definitely intrigued me to read the rest of the series. Next, we have something that was not necessarily on my TBR, but I knew I was going to read it this month as soon as it came out. And that was Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Illuminae was one of my favorite books of last year, and I just flew through it. I loved it so much, so I knew as soon as this came out I would pick it up, and it did not disappoint. Like, I actually got this 2 days early because Amazon for some reason sent my pre-order out 2 days early, so I read it before it even came out. Like, I read it in a day. It was so good. I loved the new characters, Hannah and Nick, in this. Probably not quite as much as Katie and Ezra, but they're up there. I really like their banter. I really liked Nick's cousin in this. I would also like to say, whoever reads the surveillance footage, like, descriptions, I'm not sure if it's mentioned in here or not because I did fly through this. Whoever does the surveillance footage cracks me up. Like, I was laughing out loud at so many of the things that this person was saying. I think the biggest plus that this series has is the dialogue. Like, it's not weird like a lot of YA dialogue is, especially in chat rooms and stuff. Like, it seems real, like they're actual teenagers talking, which is very, very funny. I'm not sure which of the monsters for this series I like more, whether it's the virus from the first series or like the creatures that are in this one, which were really gross and creepy. I think I liked the actual like overarching problem that was going on that we don't find out until the end, so I'm not going to say what it is, but it is one of my bookish buzzwords, so if you read this, you'll know what it is. And I really, really loved that part of the series. I really liked it a lot, and I gave this a glowing 5 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait for the third book. I read volume 1 of The Walking Dead, Days Gone By. I loved this. I think it's my favorite of the 2 that I've read so far. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it. I love the artwork in this first one, and I think the artwork is different in the second one, which was really sad. But I still really love the storyline and the way Robert Kirkman writes his characters. I'm very much looking forward to continuing with the series and seeing how it differs from the show. I read All the Truth That's in Me. This was very confusing for the first part of it, and I did end up enjoying it, but it's not something I would ever reread because I think what it has going for it is the mystery factor of you don't really know what's going on. I did like the main character Judith, and I liked the love interest, but the town just kind of was weird and it creeped me out, and I'm still not really sure what the time period that this is set in is. I know it's not modern times, but I have no idea what time period it is, so if you know, let me know. I was just mostly super weirded out by the fact that all of, like, the adult men in this little town or village or whatever were super creepy, like, perverts, and I was like, why is everybody so creepy, and why is everybody so creepy towards Judith? Like, just because they think she can't talk, why is that an attraction for men? Like, no, thank you. Next up, I read volume 1 of Witches by Scott Snyder. I really enjoyed this. I actually recommended this in my Creatures of the Night sort of video that I did on creepy creatures. I loved the art style in this. It's very vivid and creepy and just, I really liked it. I really liked the dad character in this, was probably my favorite. It's not like super creepy, but I do think the witches themselves are super creepy. I don't know if there's a second like bind-up coming out. I haven't been able to find anything about it, but if anybody knows, please let me know because I would love to read more from this series. Next up, I read volume 2 of The Walking Dead. I didn't like this one as much as the first one just because I feel like not as much happened, but it did introduce one of my favorite characters from the show, so that was exciting. There's also a relationship that goes on between 2 characters in this that was not a thing in the show because there's like a huge age gap, and I was really weirded out by that. If you read this, you know. And it was super weird. I'm excited to continue. I'm enjoying reading this series. I've finished It by Stephen King. This took me literally the entire month to read. And it's not even because it's slow. Like, I just read all of those other things while also reading this. Like, snippets of this, I would read like 100 or 200 pages at a time. I did use this for the movie adaptation for Spooktober. I'm gonna leave which books I used for the challenges down below, which I watched yesterday, and I really liked it, and I'm really excited that they're remaking it because I think it would do really well with a remake when they can like do more with like special effects and what they're allowed to put in a movie nowadays in a scary movie. I really liked this. I really love Stephen King's writing style, and it was super like, I wouldn't even say like creepy in the sense of Pennywise. Like, he was creepy, of course. He was not the scariest part of this story. I think the scariest part of this story was Derry and the people of Derry and the way it was using them. And they're super like gory and terrifying descriptions of something that could like potentially happen in real life, and that was way scarier than the demon shapeshifter of Pennywise the Clown. I'm very excited to pick up more Stephen King because I really loved his writing style. I actually bought another one of his books, which is going to be in my book haul, so slowly collecting a bunch of his works because I really liked this. I read volume 1 of Sweet Tooth. This was really good. I really liked the post-apocalyptic setting, and as Vanessa said actually in one of her most recent videos, she said this really gives her Walking Dead vibes, and I agree because I am reading both series at the same time as each other. I really like the idea of the mutant children in this, and like I'm very interested in the reason why they're so like prized. Then second to last, I read Shutter Island in like a day and a half. This surprised me. I thought I knew what was gonna happen, but I was kind of wrong. But this was really, really good. I enjoyed it very much. It's a very good like psychological thriller, and if you haven't read a lot of thrillers, I feel like this is good because it might catch you by surprise a little bit, even though I did call part of the ending. But there were parts that I did not see coming, so I really liked that. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to watch the movie adaptation. I literally just finished Salt to the Sea by Rudisill right before filming this video, and I'm still very emotional about it. I genuinely thought I was gonna give this book like 3 or 4 stars until the last 100 pages, which just broke my heart. Like, it was horrifying to read some of like the images of what happens towards the end, and like there's so much like brutal imagery in this book, so fair warning for that if you can't handle that. This was just, it was very surprising. I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I did, but I think it's such an important topic. It's so obviously ingrained in real life, and that's what makes it like so heartbreaking and so terrifying and just horrifying to read about a lot of what happened in this, because it really happened. And it's something that I've never heard about in my life, so I thought that was really weird, and I don't know why it's not talked about more. I don't read a lot of historical fiction, so this really surprised me, and I would love to read more by Rudisill because I really liked the writing style, and I really liked the short chapters too. Then I'll briefly mention, just because they were on my TBR, I did not get to World War Z or The Diviners, and I DNF'd You by Caroline Kepnes because, quite frankly, I didn't like it. I read the first 2 chapters and I could not stand the way that the main character that we're reading from, the stalker, the way he thought about the woman, and I was like, I can't read this. This is not my jam, and I'm probably gonna no, I am gonna unhaul it because I did not like it. I also DNF'd Night Film again. I'm not giving up on it, I just was not in the mood for it this month either, and I also read a lot of other things, and I feel like the beginning's really slow. I really have to be in the right mood to read that. These are all the books that I read in the month of October. They're really heavy because half of them are graphic novels, but I'm really proud of myself for having read like almost my entire TBRs, so that was super exciting. But thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.